परमेश्वरी सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। अरे वो बंद करो ना, वो दो लाइट बंद करो और ये फैन भी बंद करो। हाँ वो लाइट लाइट दिखेगा ना, वो दो लाइट बंद करो, ये फैन बंद करो। हाँ ये फैन ये लाइट आप दिखेंगे। ओके चलो ओके। हरे कृष्णा, welcome to our daily Brahmacharya class. So sometime many times many devotees keep asking so many questions related to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Few things kind of taken into consideration in our Bhakti Shastri course, so wanted to present them now. So first of all, I would like to ask you, all of you, that what are the different concepts that we try to understand or try to explain to people outside when we go for book distribution? What we understand from Bhagavad Gita, like that. What else you say? Huh? About mind? Okay. Karma or meditation yoga or rebirth or relationship with the Lord or identity or no, sixth session course. Prakriti Kal. Okay. For our later on when we come to ashram, we study through Bhakti Shastri. So then what all we understand? What are the different concepts we understand by the end of the Bhakti Shastri course? After the completion of Bhakti Shastri course, what are the different topics that we understand from Bhagavad Gita? Okay. Then any other?
So our Bhagavad Gita is basically based on the foundation is bhakti. So the first 5 topics naturally it is understood in the course of Bhagavad Gita, and how bhakti is superior and easy process, and that how chanting and other devotional aspects of bhakti is more.
Don't go into elaboration, just one word. Anything else? What are the key concepts that we understand from Bhagavad Gita by the end of Bhakti Shastri?
This word who is actually a doer.
Doer. Basically 3 doers. The concept of 3 doers. Okay. He is the ultimate doer. Okay. he is not at all doer. He is not the doer. He does not do anything. So during our Bhaktivinoda Vidyapith, once Balaram Shakti Prabhu, he was mentioning that during third canto classes, while teachings of Lord Kapila, he told one day. So first we read Bhakti Shastri. We study when we come to ashram. During our BT, we study Bhakti Shastri. The main part of Bhakti Shastri is Bhagavad Gita. So first time when we read Bhagavad Gita, we get a basic understanding what Bhagavad Gita is teaching about all these things. Then later on when we read Bhagavatam in our Vidyapith course, at least those who all went through. After completing the study of Srimad Bhagavatam, then we read Bhagavad Gita. Then the understanding is enhanced. The understanding about it becomes 100 times more or many times more. Then by good fortune, we also happen to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. After reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, if we read Bhagavad Gita once again, then that time the understanding about it will be entirely different. So with what background we are reading Bhagavad Gita, that gives a different understanding of Bhagavad Gita entirely. Then when we read Bhagavad Gita with the help of Acharya's commentaries, then we'll get different kind of understanding only. So different acharyas have given different commentaries on Bhagavad Gita according to socio-political environment at that time. Previous acharyas have given commentaries in an entirely different way. Currently, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, or previously Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they have given commentaries according to the need of the time, place, circumstances to the people accordingly. So, but when we read some acharyas commentaries, also we'll get overall view of the entire picture. So I thought these are some of the key concepts of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, there could be many more, but we will be just briefly touching upon these few concepts. Why karma, bhakti, jnana? We refer to the notes prepared by during our Bhakshasri. Gauranga Prabhu. In the very first page, he tells that first 6 chapters are karma, second 6 chapters are bhakti, third 6 chapters are jnana. So this is from Surrender unto me. He has taken it from, of course, His Grace Burjan Prabhu takes reference from previous acharyas, but from that notes he presents it. Then we also hear about 3 modes of material nature. Influence of 3 modes of material nature is being talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. And these 5 topics we hear about Bhagavad Gita. Whenever we refer to Bhagavad Gita, we always say that 5 topics we always refer. Something is missing? 5 are there, na? Then we also, if we refer to other acharyas commentaries or Burjan Prabhu Surrender unto me, we also get into details about karma, jnana, yoga and bhakti in a more detailed way. And if we refer to previous acharyas, Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan talks about Sanishta, Paranishta and Nirapeksha Bhaktas. Whenever His Grace Radhika Valla Prabhu speaks, sometimes, many times he uses these words, Sanishta, Paranishta and Nirapeksha. Radhika Valla Prabhu. Yeah, 3 types of devotees. He generally refers from Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentary, which Srila Prabhupada also referred and gave his commentary. But Prabhupada does not use these words. He uses the translated words in English. He does not use the Sanskrit words directly. And then, if you refer to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, there he refers as Gunibhuta Bhakti, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, and Kevala Bhakti. He said that Bhagavad Gita is teaching about these 3 things. This terminology looks maybe new, but we'll keep referring throughout the class so that you become familiar with those terms. So today we'll be referring briefly about all these concepts. So karma, bhakti, jnana, and 3 modes of material nature, and Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma, Yoga. And with these two, we'll try to conclude. Time permits. So then, one by one, you are able to see about why this is not going. This is coming. Okay, this is directed. So there basically the 3 modes of, that is 3 divisions of 6 chapters. The first division is karma. Actually, this is wrong. This is chapters 1 to 6. They present Nishkama Karma Yoga. The first 6 chapters is basically Karma Bhakti Yoga. This is the title. It is not visible because of this entire thing. So, किसमें? नहीं वो नहीं जाते वो ऐसे ही रहते हैं. So the first 6 chapters present Nishkama Karma Yoga. The karma is prominent in that 6 chapters, which is used for the realization of nature of the Jiva, who is an Amsha of the Jiva, Supreme Lord, and it is accomplished by Nishkama Karma Yoga, which contains Jnana Yoga within it. So basically, whatever Lord Krishna teaches in the first 6 chapters, primarily it is all about Karma Yoga. And that is Nishkama Karma Yoga. And this Nishkama Karma Yoga will help practitioner to understand about Atma. Aham Brahmasmi, we say that phrase. So that understanding will be made clear by this practice. And then in the next 6 chapters, Bhakti is presented. So by the practice of Bhakti, one attains the Supreme Lord, who is Amshi. Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Amsha is Jiva, Amshi is the Lord. So Jiva one realizes about Jiva's nature by the practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, etc. But by practice of Bhakti, one realizes the Supreme Lord, the Amshi, who is the source of unlimited Jivas and is the supreme object of attainment. Also, we understand different vibhutis of the Supreme Lord, different opulences of the Supreme Lord. So these are the major topics in the middle 6 chapters. We understand about the Supreme Lord, we attain the Supreme Lord, we also understand about different opulences of the Supreme Lord, different vibhutis of the Supreme Lord. These are the topics of middle 6 chapters. The first 6 chapters deal with understanding of Jiva. So then last 6 chapters talks about Jnana Yoga. The true nature of the Supreme Lord and the other items which were previously mentioned briefly are explained in detail. The last 6 chapters are basically explanation of the few terms which are mentioned in the previous 12 chapters and also little more details of the Supreme Lord. So this is how the division has been made. First 6 chapter primarily talking about karma, that is Nishkama Karma Yoga, by which we realize about Atma. The middle 6 chapter primarily talking about Bhakti, by which we understand and realize the Supreme Lord. Also we understand his various vibhutis or opulences. The third 6 chapters talks about the Supreme Lord also and various other concepts which are briefly mentioned in the previous 12 chapters. The next one is 3 modes of material nature. Oh, that is not missing. वो नहीं होता है ऐसे रहते वो तो जूम का no problem, I'll tell you what is there. So 3 modes. The first one is tamoguna. So at least this is by my understanding, based on my understanding I'm putting here. If there is something, we are happy to correct it. So tamoguna, whoever is in tamoguna, whatever practice it does, that leads to self-destruction, it leads to destruction of others. Whatever one may do in tamoguna, the result is self-destruction and destruction to others, some way or other. And the second one is rajoguna. Whatever activities a person does in the mode of passion, all the activities will be selfish in nature for one when it comes to oneself, and they will be destructive in nature when it comes to others. Of course, this is not the only result, but this is one of the important consideration. Yeah. And when it comes to sattva guna, in relation to self, the activities become selfless, and in relation to others, the activities become selfless. So this is how the modes will decide our activities and their corresponding results. And all these, the details mentioned here are in relation to body and mind. Generally, it is mentioned that the person in the mode of ignorance, they mainly focus on taking care of the body, taking care of the gross body. The person who is in the mode of passion takes care of the gross body and subtle body. He is only interested in maintenance of the gross body and subtle body. Only the person in the mode of goodness will also take care of the Atma. Till the person comes to mode of goodness, does not worry about Atma. Otherwise, in the previous 2 modes, one only worries about taking care of the body and mind. So here, the concept of selfless is only in relation to gross body and subtle body. But one should become selfish in relation to Atma. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Durashaye bhairartha manana. So in the mode of goodness, a person should become selfish in relation to taking care of Atma, selfless in relation to taking care of body and mind, subtle body and gross body.
This mode of goodness.
Quick.
This mode of goodness, is it without contamination of Rajo and Tamo?
No, it is with the contamination of Rajo and Tamo, but it is prominent. Out of 100%, mode of goodness is above 50%, other two are below 50%, like that. The prominent guna, that time, without any contamination, is called Turiya, that is the 4th state.
But then, even in the Sattva guna, we find people, they are more concerned about getting happiness in this world. I will not harm anyone. But I want to live.
That is the nature of selflessness. I will not harm anybody. nature of selflessness.
But I want to be happy and no one should harm me. He will be concerned about his family or maybe an extended selfish.
I want to be happy, that is okay. I only want to be happy, that is here. I only want to be happy is in the mode of passion. I want to be happy and also I want to take care of my Atma. You see the difference? If that is the only goal to be happy, that is passion. Of course, these are like some of the points which I want to make a point from the overall discussion. From that point of view, I made these notes. Not that these are the only points in those notes. These are one observations. Not necessarily they are the final. So, generally, in relation to Bhagavad Gita, for today's discussion, so we deal everything in relation to sadhana. So, whatever sadhana a person performs in the mode of ignorance, they can be called like this. If they are practicing any kind of karma, that is called vikarma. If they are practicing any kind of jnana, that is called kujnana. If they are practicing any kind of yoga, that is called kuyoga. If they are practicing any kind of bhakti, that is called abhakti. In the mode of ignorance, tamaguna. Same way, in the mode of passion, it becomes sakama bhakti, sakama jnana, sakama yoga, and sakama. Okay, sakama karma, sakama jnana, sakama yoga, and sakama bhakti. People in the mode of passion can practice all these sadhanas. That sadhana is called as like this. They are all selfish motivated, that's why it is called sakama. And when the same people come to Sattvaguna, when they practice, those sadhanas are called Nishkama Karma, Nishkama Jnana, Nishkama Yoga, and Mishra Bhakti. What is Mishra Bhakti? We'll discuss a little later. But only those people who are in the Turiya state, they practice Nishkama Bhakti, or Ananya Bhakti, or Kevala Bhakti. Because Bhakti is beyond modes. So before going to the next slide, of course, there it comes more details. First, I want to hear from you. What is karma? Briefly, in one line, you can state what is karma. Okay. Anyone else? What is karma? Activity under three modes. Okay. Perfect. Next, anyone? Activities as per one's swabhava. What kind of activities? Activity only, but what kind of activities? Fruitu means any other name of fruitive activities? Yes, Fruit. Okay, one in relation to sadhana. Sorry? Sukarma. Okay, I was expecting the answer is varnashram duties. Karma is basically performing of varnashram duties. Jnana? In relation to sadhana. Knowledge of soul, that is not exactly jnana. That is a result of jnana. So basically, 13th chapter, those 5 verses are there, 8 to 11. We say 20 items of knowledge. They are also called as 20 means of acquiring knowledge, 20 process of acquiring knowledge. Amanittam, Adamnittam, Kshanti, Rajavam, etc. etc. So basically, jnana means that process will enable us to understand the knowledge about soul and the connection between soul and super soul. So as Prabhuji mentioned, that is the objective for which whatever means we follow, that is called jnana. And yoga? Ashtanga yoga, to be more specific. Yeah.
This jnana, the process for acquiring the jnana is and
there are 20 items of knowledge. Yes.
Those qualities one should imbibe.
They are different means of acquiring knowledge, different processes as part of their sadhana. Like we have, nobody talks about 64 items of sadhana bhakti. They are different items of jnana marga, jnana yoga.
But in generally we say, if you get the knowledge, you become jnani, you become proud.
No. So we are not talking about all those effects. We are just dealing with sadhana. Here our subject is all about sadhana only, trying to understand sadhana. Different people practice different sadhanas. So these are different sadhanas, 4 sadhanas basically. Karma, jnana, yoga and bhakti from that point of view. So yoga, Ashtanga yoga. OTK, what do you mean? Basically, Ashtanga yoga means 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So attaining Samadhi. The result is the realization of Paramatma, attainment of Ashtasiddhis, and attainment of Sayujya Mukti, etc. All those things. That is all part of Ashtanga yoga sadhana. Then bhakti. What is bhakti? Bhakti, what is bhakti sadhana? Any other answer? वही बोल रहे हैं नवदा bhakti means same वही है अलग है. Wait. He might be thinking that Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhanga Bhajan Kriya, that one, 9 stages of bhakti. Okay, Navada bhakti, whatever is linked. Any other thing? Details. Yeah, 64 items of sadhana bhakti. So, but the answer is correct. The 9 items of bhakti is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasanam, Sakam, Atmanivedanam. So, performance of these 9 items is called Bhakti Yoga. So, kindly remember, performance of Varnashram duties, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi, and Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, that is Karma Yoga. Acquiring knowledge, following the 20 items of knowledge is Jnana Yoga. Performing the 8 steps yoga system, that is Ashtanga Yoga. Practicing Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Dasanam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, that is Bhakti. So this is just small background. It can include many more other things, but with this understanding, we'll go ahead. So this is about 3 modes of material nature. All these 4 sadhanas can be performed in any of these 3 modes. And when those sadhanas are practiced in the 3 modes, they are called like this: Vikarma, Kujnana, Kuyoga, etc. Sakama karma, Nishkama karma, like that. So only in Turiya state, that is where only bhakti can be practiced. None of the other sadhanas can be practiced in Turiya state. All the sadhanas ends with mode of goodness. In Turiya state, a jiva can practice only bhakti. That bhakti is called Ananya Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti or Nishkama Bhakti. This distinction kindly remember. So generally the result of practicing any sadhana in Tamoguna may not be in relation to bhakti, but in other things, hell. Because all the activities are primarily sinful in nature, the result will be hell. So any sadhana that is practiced generally in the mode of passion, Sakama Karma, Sakama Jnana, Yoga, or Sakama Bhakti, it leads to a kind of opulence here, opulence in the next life, in the heaven or Pitruloka or somewhere like that. And when things, sadhanas are practiced in the mode of goodness, the result will be, yes, and Vaikuntha. Okay, or it depends on the person who, based on the desire. So that is also, to what extent the result can be obtained is also restricted. That we will discuss a little later, but just a kind of, just to close that entire loop. This is the activity, this is the mode, this is a sadhana, the person in that mode, the result. So now, the 5 tattvas of Bhagavad Gita: Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, Karma. So when we read Bhagavad Gita, we hear about all these 5 tattvas at different places. About Ishvara we hear someplace, Jiva someplace, Prakriti someplace, Kala someplace, Karma someplace. So what is the relationship among them? From Bhagavad Gita, we may hear about them, but after reading Bhagavatam, we get to know the relationship between among them very clearly. So Bhagavatam talks about Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, by glancing upon Prakriti, he impregnates Prakriti with Kala, Karma, Swabhava. That is how it is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Kala is Lord's potency. So the Supreme Lord Ishvara impregnates Prakriti with Kala Shakti through his glance. So by that process, he is also transferring the Jiva into the womb of Prakriti. So Jiva goes along with his 2 properties, Karma and Swabhava. Okay? All the 5 tattvas are here: Ishvara, Prakriti, and Jiva. Kala is here and Karma is here. When Ishvara glances upon Prakriti in order to create the material universes, his glance carries Kala. That Kala enters into Prakriti on one side. On the other side, Jiva also enters along with Jiva's karma and Swabhava. Now all of them are in Prakriti. And staying in Prakriti, okay, now the question is, what is Prakriti? Okay, was Prakriti, any, huh? Huh? Okay, any other answers? Prakriti. 24 elements, okay, any other answer? 3 modes of material nature. Prakriti means 3 modes of material nature. So having come under the shelter of Prakriti, the Jiva continues in the material world. How Jiva can get rid of the influence of Prakriti, can get rid of the bondage caused by the 3 modes of material nature, and again reunite with Ishvara? How? Bhakti? By, that is what? How? How to get out of 3 modes? By surrendering to Krishna. Okay, what do you call that? That is called yoga. So, out of these 5 tattvas, so this is interrelation between all the 5 tattvas. We have Ishvara, Prakriti, and Jiva. So the Supreme Lord Ishvara glances upon Prakriti and he impregnates Prakriti through his Kala Shakti and Jiva Shakti. The Jiva enters into Prakriti along with Jiva's karma and Swabhava. So because of their karma and Swabhava, the Jiva continues to transmigrate from one body to other body under the influence of 3 modes, life after life, and remains under the subjugation of Prakriti. The only means to come out of Prakriti's influence is taking shelter of yoga. That yoga is taught in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna teaches this yoga in Bhagavad Gita so that the Jiva can come out of the clutches of Prakriti and reunite with Ishvara. Why Jiva has to reunite with Ishvara? Sanskrit shloka? Or any other shloka? Any other shloka? Any other shloka? Pitamasya Jagata. Any other shloka? Mukti Ritva Annata Rupam Sarupena Vyavasthiti. So like that. So we hear at different places all these things. Otherwise, the general phrase we hear that Aham Brahmasmi, Atato Brahma Jignasa. So like that. All these things we can think about. Janma Dasya Yata, etc. etc. So now the question. So I request all of you, tell one after the other the 18 chapter names of Bhagavad Gita. 18 chapters are there in Bhagavad Gita. One by one, chapter 1, say chalu karke. In Sanskrit, all the names in Sanskrit. Chapter 1, second, third, आप रुको एक ही बोलने का, ज्यादा नहीं बोलने का. हाँ, ज्ञान योगा. Fourth, हाँ, third, fourth, ज्ञान योगा. Sanskrit, fifth, कर्म संन्यास योगा. Sixth, ध्यान योगा, अष्टांग योगा, राज योगा. So many things are there. Okay, but anyway, so before going to that slide, you see this here? Ishvara is basically the understanding of Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. This we understand from these chapters. Bhagavad Gita, these chapters talks about this Ishvara concept. And Jiva is conditioned and liberated Jiva. We understand from these chapters 2 to 6, 13 and 15. Prakriti is basically called as Pradhana, Dravya, Kshetra, Maya or Mahamaya, 3 modes of material nature. 13 to 18 very graphically talks about 3 modes of material nature. Kala is the time, which we call in terms of past, present and future, which talks about birth and death, creation and maintenance and destruction, etc. Kalosmi Lokakshaya, I am the destroyer. 11 and 13 to 18. Karma, it is the destiny, deciding factor, cycle of transmigration. We understand the concept of that. It is there from the beginning to end of the Bhagavad Gita. All these chapters kind of describe that. So here, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga. Does anybody mention Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga? No one mentioned. Fifth one, karma sannyasa yoga, Lila Prabhu told. Sixth one is Atma Samyama yoga, Dhyana yoga, Ashtanga yoga. Seventh. English नहीं, only Sanskrit. चलेगा. Prabhupada ने लिखा but चलेगा. Okay, Sanskrit नहीं. If you are from Andhra Pradesh, Telugu. If you are from Karnataka, Kannada. If you are from Maharashtra, Malay, Marathi. If you are from Odisha, Odia. आपका language में बोलो. English में नहीं बोलने का. Any Indian vernacular language. No. For today only Sanskrit. English का टेस्ट बाद में करेंगे. 7th chapter. Okay, no problem. 8th chapter. 7th chapter ज्ञान विज्ञान योगा. 8th chapter. शब्द ब्रह्म योगा. Okay, 8th chapter. Please quick. 9th chapter. Akshara Brahma Parama Yoga. 8th chapter. 9th chapter. Yes, correct. 10th chapter. Good yoga. 11th chapter. Yeah. Vishwarupa Yoga, Sandarshana Yoga. Vishwarupa Sandarshana Yoga. 12th chapter. Bhakti Yoga. Okay? Jnana Vijnana Yoga, Akshara Brahma Yoga, Raja Vidya Rajaguhya Yoga, Vibhuti Yoga, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. 13th chapter. 13th chapter. Okay, no problem. Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. 14th chapter. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. Traigunya Arjuna. Triguna Vibhaga Yoga. Something like that. 15th chapter. 16th chapter. That is Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. I don't know. Sorry. हाँ 70 16th क्या है दैवासुर संपदा विभाग योगा 17th श्रद्धात्रय विभाग योगा 18th क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञ विभाग योगा गुणत्रय विभाग योगा 14th chapter is गुणत्रय विभाग योगा पुरुषोत्तम योगा दैवासुर संपदा विभाग योगा श्रद्धात्रय विभाग योगा मोक्ष संन्यास योगा. Each and every chapter has yoga at the end. Why? Vyasdeva has put yoga, or Vyasdeva or any other acharya has put yoga at the end of each chapter. Because Bhagavad Gita is book of yoga. Bhagavad Gita is teaching about yoga. That's why yoga is there. So Bhagavad Gita is teaching yoga. The purpose of yoga is to remove the jiva from the clutches of Prakriti and join back with Ishvara. So that yoga is being taught in Bhagavad Gita. So now yoga means basically there are 4 yogas which come into mind: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Okay, these 4 yogas are taught all over the Bhagavad Gita. And different acharyas gave different names to all these different people. But Srila Prabhupada does not talk about any of them. Srila Prabhupada from the beginning to the end, he only talks about bhakti. Though Bhagavad Gita talking about karma yoga here and there, etc., but Prabhupada only extract the essence of that particular process and deals in terms of bhakti yoga. So wherever we see in Bhagavad Gita purports by Srila Prabhupada, we only read about, hear about bhakti only. But it is only when we read through other acharyas commentary we understand, okay, karma, jnana, yoga, ashtanga yoga, वो सब थोड़ा detail में पता थे. So now, there are different terminology are being used in different by different acharyas. So just see what exactly they are telling, why they are using these terms, and what is the correlation among themselves in relation to bhakti. So Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan uses the terminology called as Sanishta, Parinishta, and Nirapeksha. So there are 3 types of devotees or 3 types of bhaktas which are talked about in Bhagavad Gita according to their level of faith. in this scripture, in Bhagavad Gita or in Vedic literature, and according to their steadiness in following dharma, that is varnashrama dharma, and according to their level of sense control. These three things determine a person's identity. Their faith in the Shastra, their ability to follow the varnashrama dharma, and their level of sense control. These three determine a person's identity. So Sanishta, he performs one's prescribed duties of one's varna and ashrama as a form of worship of Lord Hari with a desire to see Swargaloka. A Sanishta, he is dedicated his life to perform varnashrama duties, and he considers performance of varnashrama duties itself is devotional service unto Lord Hari. This person performs his varnashrama duties in such a way that they will be service to Supreme Lord Hari with a desire to see Swargaloka. Starting with, he considers that I need to perform my duties very properly so that I will go to Swarga. That is the desire of Sanishta. Of course, the desire will enhance also. Later on, after Swarga, it goes to all the way up to Brahman also. But starts with Swarga. The next category are those who come under Paranishta. They also follow their prescribed duties, but to set an example for others. Okay, before going to the next one, the example for Sanishta is Karmanne Vadikarase. Ma Faleshu Kadachana. Ma Karma Fala Yeturbur Mate Sangos Akarmani. So they perform all these prescribed duties dedicatedly as a service to Supreme Lord, and their desire is to go to Sarga. And Paranishta, they follow their duties to set an example. Yadyad acharati shrestha tatateva itaro jana. It's like that we can say. And at the same time, they are primarily engaged in bhakti to the Lord. They perform their duties also, but to set an example to others. But their main interest is in performing bhakti. And third category are Nirapeksha, whose heart has been completely purified by the performance of austerities, japa, truthfulness, and other actions. And this person is only observed. He observed only in worshipping Lord Hari, not following any varna and ashrama duties. He is a person, he is Nirapeksha, he does not follow any varna ashrama duties. He is completely absorbed in his service of Lord Hari. So this is the definition given by Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan in Bhagavad Gita introduction. In introduction only he gives. We will discuss. We will just understand the terminology, then we will take the examples, what exactly their sadhana and what is their goal, etc. That is the rest of the class. And not necessarily. No, there is no direct correlation. It is in couple of slides it becomes very clear. I'll make you understand what it is. And Sanishta, further details about Sanishta. In the first 6 chapters, the Lord has explained the process of Nishkama Karma, which contains within it Jnana and which culminates in Ashtanga Yoga for the Sanishta devotee. Bhagavad Gita, basically from chapter 2 to chapter 6, talks about a Sanishta Bhakta. What a Sanishta Bhakta performs in his life? First, he practices Nishkama Karma Yoga. Then eventually the purification of the heart. He becomes qualified to practice Jnana Yoga. Then, at the right time when he is sufficiently renounced, he will take up Ashtanga Yoga, give up the body, attain Sayujya. It's a gradual process. Sanishta is basically what we read in terms of yoga ladder. Okay. First, the person by the practice of sadhana comes to mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, he practices Nishkama Karma Yoga. The Vedic literature indicates that whoever practices Nishkama Karma Yoga as a householder for the entire life, they are qualified to enter into Swarga as a result. By the performance of Nishkama Karma Yoga as a householder for the entire lifespan, one is entitled to go to Swarga. Yeah, a Grihastha living the entire life practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, they are qualified to go to Swarga. If they go to Swarga, the result is cleared. They go to Swarga, Tetam Bhukta Sargalokam Vishalam, Kshine Punne Martulokam Vishanti. Again, they have to restart. But if they reject going to Swarga, they are not interested in going to Swarga, then they are qualified to practice Jnana. When you reject lower results, then you are qualified to practice higher. That is Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is generally practiced by the people who are in the renounced order. Vanaprastha or sannyas. Okay. So there they practice Jnana Yoga for sufficient amount of time. Then they have two options. After coming to Jivan Mukta platform, they have two options. After completely purified, they have two options. One is they can wait for natural death, or they can die as and when they want by taking shelter of Ashtanga Yoga. If they don't want to take shelter of Ashtanga Yoga, they can live till the end of their natural death, then attain Sayujya. Or they can take shelter of Ashtanga Yoga quickly on their own. They give up the body, enter into Sayujya. This is their final result. This is the process of Sanishta, the result of Sanishta. Clear? This is the general traditional process which is being followed in India from generations after generations. Even today also it is very famous. They say that इसलिए ब्रह्मचारी को जब ब्रह्मचारी बनना चाहते हैं बोलते हैं ऐसा नहीं बनना चाहिए, गृहस्थ रहो बाद में संन्यास लो. Even Sri Vaishnava is also very strong on this process. You cannot prematurely take to renunciation. You should follow systematically. First go to Gurukul, study nicely, then enter Grihastha ashram. After sufficient purification of the heart, then take to Vanaprastha, and they take to sannyas according to one's qualification. It is only a Brahmana generally come up to sannyas order. Kshatriyas are supposed to stop with Vanaprastha. They cannot take sannyas. Generally, there could be some exceptions, but Kshatriyas after Grihastha ashram they can take only Vanaprastha. They cannot take sannyas. Vaishyas, they have to die as a Grihastha. They cannot take Vanaprastha or sannyas. Shudras only Grihastha. Yeah, Shudras are not entitled to go to Gurukul also. They are not entitled to take Upanayana. Only those people who take Upanayana, they are qualified to go to Gurukul and study the higher education in terms of the Vedas and Puranas, all the other things. But Shudras can stay at home. They can start vocational education, vocational courses, and then live their life, etc. That is traditionally it is being followed like that. So basically it is like that. The Sanishta devotee performs his prescribed duties as a worship of the Lord, and by that becomes purified. So this is also mentioned in the 8:15. At various places the references are there in the bracket. Then Parinishta. In the middle 6 chapters, Lord Krishna will explain the process of direct surrender to Bhagavan, which is meant for the Parinishta devotees. The simple meaning is Sanishta means Sanishta. The devotee, the person has Nishta on one's own prescribed duties, the duties of Varna and Ashrama. So one considers performance of Varna Ashrama duties is one's primemost duty. Practicing Bhakti is an aid to it. Bhakti is a secondary element in their respect to sadhana. But when it comes to Parinishta Bhakta, for this person, Bhakti is his main duty. Practicing Varna Ashrama duties will be secondary. For this person, Bhakti is main duty. In his daily quota, more than 50% he practices Bhakti, less than 50% he practices Varnashrama duties. So like that we can take. The Parinishta devotee also perform prescribed duties like the Sanishta, but only to teach others, to set a good example to others. His main activity is worship of the Supreme Lord. If the prescribed duties interfere with the worship, he can avoid them with no ill effect. These devotees can avoid their prescribed duties. They are causing disturbance to their bhakti activities. There is no problem in that by missing, by not performing Varnashrama duties. Bhagavad Dharma is his main occupation and Varnashrama is secondary. And this is opposite in the Sanishta. For Sanishta, Varnashrama is primary and Bhakti is secondary. This is the difference between Sanishta and Parinishta. Yes, Prabhu.
Bhaktas, they follow Varnashrama to teach others.
Also, to teach others.
Also. They give up that Varnashrama system like it is. some like, not appropriate example for other the households.
Occasionally they can give up. Not that they need to give up completely. They follow regularly, but once in a while, if there is some problem, they can give up for time being. So it is like that. So this is one distinction. I will ask you one question. What is Karma Yoga? What is Bhakti Yoga? What is the distinction between Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Anything else? Okay, Bhakti Yoga. Okay, Bhakti Yoga, mind is offered. Karma Yoga, fruits are offered. Anything else? Quick, small.
Karma yoga action is offered,
Ah,
and Bhakti yoga, the consciousness is offered.
consciousness.
What I, my heart, my feeling.
No problem. I lost my heart in Vrindavan.
Karma yoga and actions are performed and fruits are offered to the Lord.
Mhm.
And in Bhakti, the actions are performed for the Lord.
Yeah. The example of Karma Yoga, as we just mentioned, the example of Nishkama Karma Yoga is Karmanye Vadikarase. You are entitled to do your Varnashram duties. There is no excuse from that. If a person is Grihastha or Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, they are need to perform their duties. That is their life's mission, to perform their Varnashram duties. Duty to perform करना पड़ेगा. Ma phaleshu kadachana. कभी फल के प्रति अपेक्षा नहीं रखने का. Results are meant for the Lord. You are meant to do the activity. That is the tagline of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Bhakti Yoga means थोड़ा opposite. यत् करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुषि तदाशयत् यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम. जो भी एक्शन है, whether it is varnashram action, non-varnashram action, any action, चलेगा. Perform it after offering it to me. तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम. First अर्पण करो, then perform activity. Karma Yoga, first you perform the activity, give the results to Supreme Lord. Bhakti Yoga, offer the activity to Supreme Lord and then perform. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuho, Smaranam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Atma Nivedanam. Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Iti Pumsharpita Vishnus, Bhakti She Navalakshana, Kriyate Bhagavati Yadda, Tad Manne Aditam Uttamam. Iti Pumsha Arpita Vishnus. A sadhaka having offered these 9 items unto Lord Vishnu, Kriyate Yadda, then they perform. That is called Bhakti. The main Bhakti activities are these 9. In addition to that, any Varnashram activities they should do like Yat Karoshi, Yadashnash, Yadjush, Tadashyat. That is the mood of a Parnishta Bhakta. That is the way Parnishta Bhakta performs the activities. Sanishta performs Karmanye Vadikarase Ma Phaleshu Kadachana. Sanishta identifies oneself with one's Varnashrama position. So I am a brahmachari, I need to perform my brahmachari duties. There is no excuse for that. I am a grihastha, I need to perform grihastha duties. There is no excuse for that. I am a sannyasi, vanaprastha, I need to perform my duties. No excuse for that. For them, performing their duties are they are rigid. That's why in our traditional families in India, they are very rigid about practicing their household duties. किसी ब्राह्मण के घर पे जाओ, हाथ दो, पैर दो, ये करो, वो करो मत, ये करो मत, वो करो मत, बहुत सारा restrictions रहता है. That is all part of Sanishta regulations. So that's how it is. And third category, Nirapeksha. He does not depend at all on the prescribed duties of karma for purification or realization of the Lord. His advancement depends solely on association of devotees and the grace of the Lord. This person has nothing to do with one's own varnashrama duties. This person does not take shelter of jnana, karma, yoga. He only depends upon bhakti. He has nothing to do with this world. निरपेक्षा means निरपेक्षा. ये दुनिया से कुछ अपेक्षा नहीं इनको. ये दुनिया से कुछ लेना देना नहीं. हो गया अभी last. So we'll just see some examples, then we'll close. Already 2:22. Sanishta are basically those who are practicing first. When they are in the mode of ignorant, they practice vikarma or something like that. When they gradually come to mode of passion, then they practice sakama karma. When they come to mode of goodness, they practice nishkama karma. They practice nishkama karma yoga as a householder. They perform all the activities, offer the results to Supreme Lord. They don't enjoy the results. By not enjoying the results of the performance of their activities or the results of their performed activities, their hearts gradually becomes purified. They gradually become selfless. Then they become qualified to take renunciation. Then if they are qualified to take up vanaprastha or sannyasa, according to their varna, they can take up vanaprastha or sannyasa. Then they can practice jnana yoga. Then eventually, when they want to give up their body immediately, they can take up shelter of Ashtanga yoga. By practicing Ashtanga yoga, they will attain Sayujya. According to the traditional culture, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma, Artha, Kama are accomplished in Grihastha ashram. The Moksha is accomplished in Vanaprastha Sannyasa order by the practice of Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. These four are completed. This is traditional yoga ladder. This is being prevalent in India for many generations. But from the Vaishnava tradition, they are practicing Parinishta. So Grihastha devotees generally practice Parinishta Bhakti. They stay at home, they practice their Varnashram duties they practice Bhakti along with Varnashram duties. Bhakti means primarily 9 activities. 9 activities. But घर में पत्नी रहेगा, बच्चा रहेगा, सब रहेगा. उनको मेंटेनेंस के लिए कुछ तो कुछ करना पड़ेगा ना. That whatever they do, that is called karma. Whatever activity performed in relation to maintain the body is called karma. And whatever activity is performed in relation to maintain the subtle body, it is called jnana. So the Grihastha devotees will perform thoda sa karma mishra bhakti, thoda sa jnana mishra bhakti. So as long as they are as Grihastha devotees, they will perform Parinishta bhakti. So yat karoshi yadashnashi yat josh tadashi yat tapasya kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. इसमें तपस्या भी है, that is jnana yoga, and yat karoshi yat joshi yadashnashi ये सब है, that is karma yoga. So any Parinishta devotee, they practice karma mishra, jnana mishra bhakti. Primarily they practice bhakti along with some component of karma, some component of jnana. So eventually tameva sharanam gacha, by taking shelter, depending on the Supreme Lord, they will attain liberation in Vaikuntha or wherever they want. That is possible. But the higher level of devotees, Nirapeksha, they have nothing to do with their Varnashram duties. They are only in complete absorption of devotional service. Whether they may be in Grihastha ashram or they may be in Vanaprastha or Sannyasa order. Generally, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that Nirapeksha is meant for renunciates and Parinishta meant for Grihasthas. And both these are Uttama Bhaktas. And what do we read about Uttama Bhakti? Annabhilashita Shunnam Jnana Karmadi Anavrutam Anukulena Krishna Shulam Bhakti Uttama Sarvopadi Vinurmuktam Tatparatvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesh Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. So that Uttama Bhakta can be either Parinishta or Nirapeksha. If he is a Grihastha, also performing household duties, Parinishta. If he is not Grihastha, not even Sannyasi, not even Vanaprastha, but not performing at all any other Varnashram duties, is Nirapeksha. The example, a Grihastha Nirapeksha is Srivas Tagore. Srivas Tagore, did he ever perform any household duties? He sits in front of the altar. He tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if I clap 3 times, at the end of the 3rd clap, if I don't get any prasad, I will drown myself into Ganga. He will get his meals for his maintenance, everything naturally available without any work. The example of renunciate Nirapeksha Bhakta, our Goswamis. What is the activity performed by Madhavendra Puri? Yesterday only we were hearing about Madhavendra Puri. Ayachat Vritti or Ajagara Vritti. He does not go even beg only. If something comes on its own account, he will take. Otherwise, he will not eat. All the Goswamis followed that kind of lifestyle. Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. Ayachita Vritti, almost. They never even went for begging only. They are the example of this one. And the example of Parinishta, in order to set an example to others, we can see a whole Bhagavatam talks about Parinishta Bhaktas only. Whether it is Dhruva Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, Bambarish Maharaj or Bharat Maharaj or any of these devotees, they all come in the category of Paranishta Bhaktas. Because they performed Bhakti, side by side they also performed Varnashram duties. Especially when it comes to Prithu Maharaj and Rishabdev. Bhagavatam clearly mentioned that they have performed all these duties to set an example how to practice the Varnashram duties as a brahmachari duties, as a grahastha, as a vanaprastha, sannyasi. So these are the examples of these particular sadhanas. Hare Krishna. So this is from Baldev Vidya Bhushan. If time permits, next week we'll see Srila Vishwanath Thakur. Hare Krishna. Hope it is clear. I did not confuse. Hare Krishna. Recording I am not doing. Udhar recording correct.